Some matches follow the most predictable script. Others flip it in spectacular style. Australia's exploits at Ellis Park on Saturday belong to the latter category. Their comeback from 22-0 down against the Springboks, at a venue where they had not won since 1963, was jaw-dropping to witness in real time. It has taken a while to digest and decipher, too. Notwithstanding signs of progress over the British and Irish Lions series, a Wallabies victory was difficult to foresee. In the 19th minute, when Kolisi surged over with South Africa rampant, a triumph for Joe Schmidt's men over the back-to-back world champions seemed impossible. An hour and 38 unanswered points later, Australia had stunned their hosts. This is how they did it. Early encouragement. At full-time, a beaming James O'Connor diplomatically described the opening quarter as a scratchy one for his team. The fly half insisted, however, that there had been good signs. Schmidt offered a window into the mindset at halftime, when the Wallabies were 22-5 down. The experienced head coach reminded his players that they had won the second 20 minutes 5-0. Repeat that in the third quarter, and they were in the game. Australia were troubling their rivals' rush defense even amid South Africa's early blitzkrieg. Here, in the 5th minute when they are already 7-0 behind, Australia bounced back towards the far touchline 2 phases after a line-out on that side of the field. Having carried in midfield from the set piece, Len Ikito returns to his feet and wraps around Tom Hooper to dink a left-footed chip in behind Edwill van der Merwe. This next play comes from Australia's own half just beyond the half-hour mark. Max Jorgensen, trailing from the blindside wing, is the man to watch. O'Connor's pass to Ikito is fired across 2 back rowers, Fraser McRate and Hooper. Jorgensen then helps overload the defense by taking a pullback from Ikito that goes behind the run of Joseph Swaliai. As it happens, a kick through from Tom Wright just dribbled over the try-line into the dead ball area in this instance. But there was enough for the Wallabies to feel confident if they could keep their composure. A vital response. Australia's first try was instigated by a box kick from Nick White, the 35-year-old scrum half who has postponed his retirement. Jorgensen does brilliantly to regather the ball ahead of Manie Lebach in a catch that is reminiscent of his try in the first test of the Lions series. Although an infield offload does not go to a gold shirt, the Wallabies react well. Billy Pollard chops down Malcolm Marx and James Slipper swoops to Jackal after Lud de Jager has taken out White to leave the ball exposed. Breakdown, disruption and accuracy in possession was a vital pillar of this display. South Africa lost 5 of their 102 attacking rucks, with McRate typically influential, whereas Australia lost just 1 of 77. Indeed, they hit touch from this penalty and zigzagged through 7 phases. Will Skelton and Taniela Tupou were prominent, but the Springboks were not significantly dented. Schmidt teams do tend to be able to retain the ball for long sequences, and at the 7th ruck, are 7 on the map. South Africa are penalized when Quagga Smith dips towards the ball in a manner that Ben O'Keefe does not condone. With penalty advantage, the Wallabies score through Dylan Peach. Rewinding slightly, watch Ikito and O'Connor scan the Springboks' defense on the scoring phase. They back themselves to play through it, with Ikito feeding his teammate and then arcing around to receive an offload that O'Connor throws blind. This camera angle shows the vision and dexterity. O'Connor, on the way to Leicester Tigers for the upcoming season, had not featured for Australia in a test match for 3 years and had not played at all since June 21. No wonder he called this his favorite game for the Wallabies. In the second half, an emboldened Australia kept chipping away. Disciplined but desperate disruption. Schmidt is renowned for teaching players to read referees, and for Australia to concede just 4 penalties was extraordinary, because they fought for everything. Such a low tally of penalties reflects their resilience in the scrum and around the field. As well as scrapping on the floor, they caused South Africa to lose 5 of 16 lineouts. Here, just before halftime, Wright trusts Andrew Kellaway to drift across and tackle Kolisi. Ikito keeps covering and fells Andre Esterhuizen when an offload is thrown inside. Wright mops up the loose ball and Van der Merwe is penalized for flopping on top of a prone opponent. This next clip comes from the 50th minute, with Australia 22-12 down and 5 meters from their own line. Eben Etzebeth lines up a carry into two far smaller men in Jorgensen and Kellaway. You can also see Tate McDermott, moonlighting on the wing. Note the starting position of Hooper. He swings around to arrive at the tackle area and, because Franco Mostert has driven down to the ground, Hooper is able to address the ball. The Exeter Chiefs bound back rower absorbs the attempted clear out of Oxench and shows a strong lift to O'Keefe, earning the penalty. While Ikito was off the pitch tending to a cut, Australia assembled a centre partnership of Swaliai and Kellaway with McDermott on the wing. Their flexibility under pressure was highly impressive. Swaliai's interception came while this makeshift back line was on the pitch. A few minutes previously, he gets a look at Libic's expansive distribution from close to the edge of the defensive line. When South Africa bid to impart width a little later, Swaliai picks off a somewhat rushed pass. Pieter-Steph du Toit and Marks are in a huge amount of space. But Swaliai's opportunism pays off handsomely. Attacking principles pay off. Sometimes a side will change tack to haul themselves back into a contest. More often, though, it pays to stay patient and keep the courage of your convictions. It felt like the Wallabies trusted their primary plans to come off rather than pivoting drastically away from them. In the first half, for example, Harry Wilson was rocked by a two-man tackle from Marco van Staden and Esterwijzen after a short tip pass from Nick Frost. He kept offering himself as a flat runner though, and had his reward when Australia burst through the blitz thanks to Angus Bell's short ball. Ench is flat-footed and Etzebeth is pressing past the ball towards right. Wilson's angle dissects those two forwards beautifully. If you can keep your nerve, it is possible to pick holes through the middle of an aggressive defense. Bell, a bustling runner, was part of a bench that comprehensively eclipsed the Springboks replacements. He was integral to Wilson's second try, moving the ball towards right after White's ballooning box kick is recovered by the effervescent duo of Jorgensen and Hooper. Wilson's tireless support rewards the evasion of Wright, who is formidably slippery in these situations. And Australia extended their advantage from the next restart, which is superbly taken by a soaring Swaliai. A couple of phases later, Bell carves past several defenders, and South Africa end up with both centres close to the near touchline with open side wing Kane and Moody. Libak is in the backfield with Damian Willems, leaving Kurtley Arends in a vulnerable position on the far 15-meter line.